This weekend is Pro Tour March of the Machine. And you know what that means? It means it's time to play the decks that pros built. But the deck lists haven't actually been released yet, with the exception of people who decided to post their deck lists on Twitter. Now, all the people who posted their deck lists on Twitter were playing what I'm going to call jank. And I love that for them. So this is a standard tournament. It's going to be paper, tabletop. I'll be co-streaming it over on my channel. And well, there's some cool decks in here. Some of these are a little bit more focused than others, but I want to highlight some of these decks and play them for you. I'm going to try to get in a good game with each of them. So what I have here is I have an all-will-be-one deck in Gruul. We've got, this is actually a more popular deck, the Hiditsugu combo deck. This is Martin Juza's version. We have a Jeskai control deck. I didn't find the actual deck list for this, but I know somebody is running Orzhov Phyrexian, so I just approximated their build here. We've got Rakdos Reanimator and a Dimir control / mid-range kind of build. So these decks are not ones that are the top decks, because the top decks at March of the Machine is the same thing that you would see anyway, especially if you're playing best of 3. Yeah, you've got Rakdos, you've got Grixis, and you've got Esper. That's you've got Esper Legends, Grixis mid-range, and you know, Sholdrids. There's Sholdrids everywhere. So I'm just going to go through these deck lists, show what they do, and then play a couple games with them. So let's start with this Dimir deck right here. So this was posted by the Pro Tour player MTG Typical Johnny. That's their Twitter handle. I figured I would keep it there. I did also import their sideboard, but we're going to be playing this in best of 1. So what is this deck? Well, you can see right here what it is. It's killing things, countering things, and then winning through things like Sholdred and some zombies off Invasion of Innistrad, and the incubate tokens made by Chrome Host Seed Shark. This is very much a frustrating deck to play against if you happen to hit your removal when you need it, and your opponent can't stop you. The downside of us playing it where I'm playing it, which is over here in Arena, is that we're going to be running into a lot more aggro than the tournament players would. There's very little mono red, mono white, etc. in the Pro Tour, but this deck is still fairly well positioned against those because of this good early removal. So we're going to take this deck into the queue and show them what the Pro Tour players do. Alright, Hotsy, I hope you're ready for some counter spells, because we're going first, which is exactly what we want to see. We're going to start by gaining a life. Dismal Backwater does the trick. And then we can use this Pain Land on turn 2 to make it so we can cast or make disappear. Oh, they are playing a Rot Priest deck. So something that's tricky about Rot Priest decks is they don't even need their spells to resolve. They just need their spells to target, and then they're going to be getting that poison built up. I am going to counter this Yabone Duelist, so I do not get corrupted next turn. And then I'm going to follow up with the Chrome Host Seed Shark. So the main tricks that the Selesnya Toxic deck uses is Tyvar Stand, that's indestructible and plus X. And it looks like instead of dealing with a combat trick here, there's also the +2/+2 draw a card. Annex Sentry just exiling my poor Whittle Shark. Thankfully, we have another one where that came from. So we've got Shark number 2, Chrome Host Seed Shark, and we're going to have to find some removal for the Annex Sentry. This Selesnya Toxic aggro deck is, by the way, also a deck that has some presence in the tournament this weekend. I know that in part because it's a deck that I had built in the early access event. I loved it, and seeing other people play it made me happy. So we've got everything here at instant speed. This is card filtering. This is a big counterspell, a little counterspell, and the Fairy Mastermind, who will punish our opponent if they try to draw extra cards this turn. If we end up casting any of these non-creature spells, we will get some Incubate, which we'd have to pick 2 to turn it into a creature, but we might have to do that anyway. Bloated Contaminator, if it hits us, does proliferate, which is kind of rough. Alright, so they have a Slaughter Singer here. I am still going to cast this Make Disappear to get them to tap out. I'm not going to sacrifice a creature. I'm okay with this resolving, but I want to make sure that they're tapped out going into combat. So going in with everything, these are all going to get +1/+1. And I'm just going to go ahead and block this Annex Sentry, take the 5 and the 2 poison, since it's going to proliferate. Great Mastermind coming out to play. The Invasion of Innistrad. This does have flash, but I'm going to use it right now. This, by the way, is an ability that targets. We can hit the Annex Sentry, we can hit the Venerated Rot Priest here. In this version of the deck, I think I'm actually most afraid of the Contaminator and this Annex Sentry just being able to hold this hostage. I'm going to go for this Contaminator to start, though, since it really does hose any of their biggest attacks. And I'm going to swing in here with the Fairy Mastermind just to tick down Invasion of Innistrad. When this flips over, first of all, it casts another non-creature spell, so we get another Incubate token, but we also get some zombies. This clutters up the field really, really well. And as I mentioned before, I think that they are running Tyvar's Stand in this list. That's why I really wanted to make sure I cast this when they couldn't protect against it. Nice! Skrelv! Oh, it looks like they're swinging in again. They know that I don't have any ways to kill those, but I can still kill this. Got another Invasion of Innistrad here. We also have these Incubate tokens ready to flip. I'm going to start, since all this is instant speed, by flipping over Invasion of Innistrad. Now we can turn these into creatures as needed. Got some 2/2 blockers. We can actually make more. These come in untapped, which is kind of interesting. Okay, another Venerated Rot Priest. Anybody swinging in here? Bloated Contaminator and the Annex Sentry are coming in. Now, Skrelv can make it so I'm unable to block. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to double block, and I'm assuming that they're going to come in with a trick. They did not. Okay. Skrelv's Hive. In response to Skrelv's Hive, I either want to hit Skrelv. I do have 2 colors of creature for next turn, and also a colorless creature. I'm just going to take out Annex Sentry, or try to. They can tap this down. That is fine. We're going to be able to flip this over with combat. Oh, look, now you all have lifelink. Oh, isn't that sweet? Get myself a healthy little 4/4. Swing that in a Fairy Mastermind over here. Would you like to block? Or would you like to let me have more zombies? More zombies it is. This is going to trigger the Chrome-Host Siege Shark. And we're almost ready to start attacking face. I think next turn, face is the place. I am at 6 poison, though, which is a little scary. I don't want to be at 6 poison. Ooh, Kaela's Reconstruction for X = 1. I have a counterspell here. I'm just going to use it. Now, is it likely they're going to hit anything devastating? No, but they could hit an Annex Sentry, and I wouldn't like that. So, Disdainful Stroke it is. In response, Incubate! Making this unblockable by black or by blue, because we can still block it, no matter which color they name. And that's gonna be GG. They're out of gas. We are full of tokens and ready to rumble. Chrome-Host Siege Shark. Love it. I go first. I have counter spells, I have sharks, and I have the big kill spell. I also have some mana, some of which will be coming in tapped on turn 1. So I'll just throw down the Shipwreck Marsh and then follow up with the Dark Slick Shores. I love to see Shuldred, by the way, just because she's such a house in this format. Okay, they're going to consider This looks like it's going to be mono blue. Mono blue, I actually don't think has much of a presence in the tournament this weekend. They didn't have a counter spell there. They might have a bounce spell. I'm trying to get this Chrome Host Seed Shark to stick, though. And their threats are probably going to be coming down on around turn 3. They have a Serpent that gets discounted by the number of instants and sorceries in their graveyard. And they've got the Hadijin, who gets bigger over time. I am either going to kill it with Invasion of Innistrad or just get down Shelly here. I like Shelly. We could have also go for the Throat combined with holding up a counter spell. Disdainful Stroke, make this disappear. Disdainful Stroke really only has one target in this matchup, which makes it a pretty low priority card for me. Thank you so much for drawing 3 cards, by the way, with this Shouldered out. I'm very, very into that. But they have to fill up their graveyard. They now have 5 instants and sorceries in their grave, which means that the Sea Serpent could come out. Or a Delver of Secrets. This, unfortunately, will come in tapped. But I think we're going to be playing at instant speed here. Just waiting to pass back to their turn. There is a protective spell that costs all of 1 mana here. We could still go for it. I don't think it's worth it. Alright, let's see what's on top of their deck. It's not an instant or sorcery, so they are going down. 6 life remain. They're swinging in with both of these. Another Delver. It can block. And we're passing back to my turn. I am actually going to try to kill this Delver here. See if they have anything else. Maybe something with Flash. Because right now, when they draw, they die. We swing in for 4. Do they put this Shouldered back into my hand? They're phasing her out. This is technically a 2 mana value spell. I can make it disappear. But that, unfortunately, does not really get me where I need to be. I'm going to play the Chrome Host Seed Shark now. And now we're chilling on our 2 different counter spells. Thirst for Discovery! Ah! So they're trying to get a little thirsty here while this Shoulder's not in play. Insectile Aberration has flipped over. We know they have a Fading Hope, since that's what they revealed to flip it. They're currently up to 11 out of 13 damage. And another Hadijin. I am going to actually counter this Hadijin. Try to remove their blockers. They could have a Spell Pierce. Or Negate, yep, because Hadijin does make their instants and sorceries cost 1 less. But now they're tapped out. Which is great news for me, because they would need to have a way to get rid of Shouldered in upkeep. Because we're going to swing in, deal 4, they draw, they take 2, and that's game. Next up, we've got Martin Juza's Hiditsugu list. This is not necessarily the same version of the list that's being brought into the Pro Tour, but it's the list that was posted online, so we're going to take it. This is a deck that relies on Hiditsugu and Kairi combined with Explosive Singularity, but it can win without those. If you're not already familiar with this combo, Hiditsugu and Kairi enters the battlefield and brainstorms. You draw 2, and then you put cards back on top. So you draw 3, and then you put 2 back on top of your deck. This lets you set up which card is on top of your library. When Hiditsugu and Kairi dies, you exile that top card of your library, and you deal damage equal to its mana value to your opponent, and then you can cast it for free if it's an instant or sorcery, which means that if you have Explosive Singularity on top of your deck, you can deal 10, and then 10 again, which is a 20 damage all at once. Hiditsugu and Kairi, you kind of need your opponent to kill it, unless you have ways to sacrifice it or kill it yourself. Something kind of unusual that this deck does is it runs ways for you to kill your own Hiditsugu and Kairi in order to trigger your Explosive Singularity combo. Otherwise, this deck is a Grixis mid-range deck, using, of course, the ever-powerful tool Fable of the Mirror Breaker, Shouldered, you've got the sort of a baby board wipe Grixis command, some removal counter spells, and you can also just use a little chat in order to draw cards to try to find your combo, since Hiditsugu and Kairi helps you set up the combo as well. This deck also has what I'm going to call the Rakdos staple on 2. Blood Tithe Harvester, it helps deal with aggro, it deals a lot of damage itself, and it also functions as removal and is a really good spell to copy with Fable of the Mirror Breaker. We're going to take this Hiditsugu deck into the queue and play some Pro Tour-esque games, am I right? Let's go! We've got Blood Tithe Harvester on 2, some Xander's Lounges, and Fable of the Mirror Breaker on 3. Though we're not going first, this still seems like a really good hand to me. Alright, that's a Dark Slick Shores, so our opponent is in at least 2 of the same colors as us. Blue and black. And maybe they're just in blue and black, playing a little bit of Dimir. Evangel of Synthesis? That's an interesting card. I wonder if this is like some next level Phyrexian deck, because this is a Phyrexian human cleric that's part of a draw 2 synergy. Well, thankfully it has 3 toughness, so we can trade into it unless they've drawn an extra card, or they could just kill my Blood Tithe Harvester. Yeah, that's legit too. Absolutely can happen. Since this would come in tapped, or this would come in tapped, I'm going to throw down this Dark Slick Shores and get my Fable the Mirror Breaker out. Yeah, Dimir Draw 2, I think, is a fine budget deck. They can play Evangel of Synthesis. There's also the Fairy Vandal, I think is its name, that gets +1/+1 when you've drawn a second card per turn. It's a nice way to just beat down some damage. Definitely a budget deck. Lots of good uncommons being used. Alright, so we're going to discard these cards that come in tapped, since we already have really good fixing out here. So there's an Explosive Singularity, but that's not actually what I want right now. I'm going to swing in with my Goblini. Oh, what a little Goblini. Are you going to flash out any fairies? No? Okay, here comes Fable of the Mirror Breaker. We do have 2 mana if they wanted to counter it. And here is another goblin. These goblins swing in, they make me treasures. And, yeah, they're just good little dudes. We can use those treasures to cast Explosive Singularity. Cruelty of Gix, absolutely not. I don't want you reanimating. I don't want you making me discard. Even though there are no creatures to discard, we see that Atraxa in their graveyard. And we know that now that's what they were going to do. They were using this as a tool to get that in the graveyard so they could bring it back. And we say, no, cut that out and stop it. Do I want to discard 2 cards? Yes. I'm going to actually drop this other Fable of the Mirror Breaker, keeping a land here, because what I was looking for was our ding-dang Hiditsugu. Hey, Hiditsugu! Where are you? Used up my blood, didn't find it. So I guess we'll chill, we'll sit here. I have a very similar list, this Rakdos Reanimator list, which you will actually see in this video, which also brings back Atraxas. Surprising nobody. Alright, so they're gonna have me sacrifice this Reflection of Kiki-Jiki before I can start cloning goblins. And here comes another Evangel of Synthesis. Let's see what they draw and drop. Okay, another go for the throat. Well, I'm gonna go for the throat too. You may be Phyrexian, but you are not non-artifact. Yeah, screw it. Seems like they don't have anything right now, so we're going to say, I'm the beatdown. And so beatdown I shall. We're gonna swing in, make our treasures. Shivan Reef, and Explosive Singularity directly at their face. Because, why not? It's still lethal. I don't actually know how you would say my opponent's name, because a lot of these are not Latin characters. But I think it's supposed to be Lordwyn. This seems like a keepable hand. I go first. I have a counter spell, a kill spell, a shouldered, and Fable of the Mirror Breaker. These are all good for me, even though all my mana is going to come in tapped until turn 3. Going first means that that's kind of like the turn 2 for the opponent. We have a reactive spell here, which we can use. And unless they're super aggro, we should be fine. And it looks like they're not. That's Aziator's Proving Ground. Some Jund. This could actually be like a 5-color deck. It's totally a 5-color deck because they just followed up with Jetmir's Garden. I'm going to toss down Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Get myself some goblins for some ramp, some fixing, and some filtering next turn off the discard and draw. If you're hearing a strange rumble in the background, that's because there is a truck doing strange truck things. Ah, the domain! They have so much domain and leyline binding. Do you take my goblin or my fable? All right, they went for the fable, but doesn't matter to us because we can still swing in. Play Hiditsugu and Kairi. We could also go for Shouldered here, but I think playing Shouldered next turn is just fine. Hiditsugu and Kairi, what do you find? We did not find Explosive Singularity. So let's see, what do I want to put on top of the deck? I'm going to put back Go for the Throat and Shouldered. No, I think I want to play Shouldered next turn. I'm going to put back one of these Make Disappear, since we have doubles of each of these. Just make them lose some life if they reveal it, since we don't have targets and we've got doubles. Okay, Fable of the Mirror Breaker. They're going to ramp, they're going to fix, they're going to do all the things that goblins are wont to do. We're going to swing in. I could hold up this counter spell, and it's nice because we do have a very good thing to casualty with it. Or we could play Shouldered. Now, they do have this discard and draw here, so I want to really punish them trying to filter their hand off Fable of the Mirror Breaker. They could have another Leyline Binding, they could have any other type of removal, but really I just want them to lose a bunch of life. This also gives me a blocker if they're trying to swing in with a goblin to get more mana. Let's see, do you discard and draw? Did you already draw removal? Ah, they did! They discarded 2 things, which means they're losing 4 life here. Shouldered the Apocalypse, a horribly punishing card. That's why it's super present in the PT. Which, by the way, you should all take a look at Frank Carson's Pro Tour article, where he shows off what all the decks are. Alright, so Hiditsugu and Kairi comes out. This gets exiled. They're going to lose 2 life. It doesn't get cast. But it's going to be an easy kill from here, especially because we have another Hiditsugu and Kairi in our hand. So, GG, Lordwin. Kurumitsu, Kurumitsu. Are you ready for my goblins? Gonna keep this hand. We have some nice mana, some things that come in untapped to start. But we're actually going to be leading with Strong Carved Coast, so we have blue mana on 2/4. A little chat. We might want to save our little chat for Hiditsugu and Kairi to come out. But I don't know if that's fully necessary. Blackleaf Cliffs. Oh, here we go. We got a very nice card here for turn 2. Bloodtithe Harvester. The 3/2 beater. Axes removal. Great to copy with Fable of the Mirror Breaker. And I see blue and black on our opponent's side of the battlefield. I expect to see some Shouldereds this game. I'll swing in for 3. First Blood. And Fable of the Mirror Breaker. They used Make Disappear to counter this. Very good move. Now, an Invasion of Amonkhet. Invasion of Amonkhet is terrifying, especially if powerful creatures like Hiditsugu and Kairi end up in the graveyard, like they did. I'm going to discard a little chat. Take a look at their graveyard as well. So this looks like it could be the Breach version of this deck, or it could just be Render Inert flipping these over. I'm going to swing in for another 3. And play Fable of the Mirror Breaker again. This gives me a very minor bit of defense here. But there's a good chance that they're just going to remove the counters from this. Or maybe play, there we go, it's Shouldered! Shouldered, I do not have a way to kill you yet. Ah, here we are! A way to kill her. And we want to kill her before Fable of the Mirror Breaker triggers, so we can go ahead and filter our hand. And yes, I am going to drop both of these because I'd really love to get to play my Hiditsugu and Kairi next turn. In we go, making more treasures. This gives me Go for the Throat or Hiditsugu next turn, assuming we can swing in again. Yeah, we're just digging for lands. They milled a whole bunch. There's a Shouldered. I could also use Gix's command, but I'm just going to kill this. Getting at Hiditsugu and Kairi, yes, that's good. Do you have a Spell Pierce? Phase out. Nope, just using Cut Down in response to kill my goblin. They know that I'm missing land drops, so I think that that's a really smart move. Fable of the Mirror Breaker comes out. We're going to swing in for another 3. And they're down to 6 life. This Bloodtithe Harvester has done so much work in these games. Go for the Throat, taking out Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. That's very fair. I'm just going to keep both of these in hand. We're going to start by swinging in with the Harvester. Going to flash out any fairies. Nope, go for the throat. They're just killing this. Means that they're a little less likely to have a counter spell here. And here comes Hiditsugu and Kairi. Now, before this resolves, they're killing it, which means it's a luck of the draw. What's on top of my deck? It's a land. Oh, and here's the... If they had waited until the ability resolved, they would be dead. So they made the very smart move there. Let's see. We're going to order these for the Blood Tithe Harvester. And then the Singularity. That way, if they mill me, I'm not too devastated. We could even use Gix's command to bring things back. I'm just going to play Blood Tithe Harvester here. And get some blood. Cut down. It's all removal, huh? Gix's command, I can use this to kill something and bring things back. I don't really know what my opponent is sitting on right now. So I think we just pass back to them. We could use these bloods, throw this in the graveyard. But it's nice to have this kind of inevitability here. Since they didn't do anything this turn, I am going to toss it. See what we draw. Okay, Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Definitely take that. Throw it down. Here comes the Fable. That's going to give me a Goblin. It's going to give me filtering. It's going to give me everything I crave. Are you going to kill it? All of these one-for-one removals, especially this one, which is dealing damage to them, aren't going to do that well for them because we have this triple value card with Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I am going to drop both of these lands. Excuse me. There we go. Having this make disappear is very nice protection. Play out this land. We'll have this Goblin ready next turn. And a shoulder that we can protect. I like a shoulder that we can protect. Here she is. You draw 2 cards, you die. Now, do you have more single target removal? Because you didn't at the start of your turn. They have this thing in Arena where it will actually give you an automatic stop at the start of your turn if you have something you can do in reaction to Sheoldred. We are going to counter this, and we're going to do so by sacrificing Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. So they would have to pay 4 mana. Now, if they have their own counter spell, they could deal with some of this. But they don't. You have 2 life. And 2 lands. Had they played that land first, they would have been able to stop my counter spell. But they didn't. So that's going to be GG. Up against Coaster, this seems like a very nice hand. The only thing it doesn't have is Hiditsugu and Kairi. What a good dog. Ooh, a Karplusan Forest. And a Teething Wormlet. This looks like it's going to be an artifacts deck. And I'm going to react quickly and just take this down. Now, I could wait until something's triggered and maybe got a little bigger. Maybe it's trying to encourage them to lean into it. I don't want them gaining life because I want them to be at exactly 20. Because Explosive Singularity, good for 20. And look, there's my Hiditsugu and Kairi. All according to plan. We could either get down Blood Tithe Harvester to face against their Blood Tithe Harvester, go for the throat, take this out, or just hold up this Make Disappear. I'm going to play my own Blood Tithe Harvester. Just 2 guys hanging out. This is already an unusual deck. Looks like it's things that make artifact tokens combined with this Teething Wormlet. Oh, and they're trading! Okay, a Harvester for a Harvester. That's a very fair trade. Ah, and look at that! Another Blood Tithe Harvester. I am probably going to crack this blood to try and find lands. And depending on what they play, I will be dropping maybe Gix's command, go for the throat, Make Disappear. Take the 3. I want to make sure I'm able to counter Sheoldred if they try to play her. Ayara? Huh. Okay. I will counter Ayara. Are her transformation can be very strong, especially with things in the graveyard. I like this. Our opponent's on a brew. Gonna drop Gix's command here. Nice, we did get a land. This gives me more things that we can just chill with. I do still have to pay for blue, and I need another blue source for Hiditsugu and Kairi. I'm gonna take out this Blood Tithe Harvester as it swings in. For anything more for me to counter. Oni Cult Anvil! I can't actually counter that. They could be able to pay the 2. They're gonna turn their blood into little guys, and that does make sense why this is a Jund Teething Wormlet deck. Nice. Standards Lounge is going to get me that second blue for Hiditsugu and Kairi. We're getting ever closer to the combo. Ever closer to the combo. We swing. Take 1. Oni Cult Anvil 2. The sequel to Oni Cult Anvil. And I think they're going to munch this blood and get 2 more constructs out. And now our opponent, just based on the colors they're in, will probably have plenty of ways to kill Hiditsugu and Kairi. But unless they're doing it right as it enters the battlefield, it's not going to be fast enough to stop my explosive singularity here. I probably actually would have held that in hand just so I had better choices of what to put back into the deck, but I already know what I'm looking for, and I found what I was looking for. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to put back this land and singularity. I'm keeping the singularity on top, and I'm putting an upkeep stop for my next turn, because I have a way to sacrifice Hiditsugu and Kairi, so I can actually kill it before the start of the turn, dealing the 20 damage and kicking their butt. If I wanted to be a little greedier, I could have also put this 2 down, so I would draw the Chivalry, attack in, and then do it. Nice Fable the Mirror Breaker. They're going to sacrifice whatever construct I block. I'm going to lose life. They're going to gain a life. And remember, they can gain 1 more life off this Oni Cult Anvil. But 1 is not 2. And I want to do the combo. So what we're going to do is we're going to be very casual here. Sacrificing Hiditsugu and Kairi and blasting them for a lovely, lovely 20 cards. Oh, did I order that wrong? Hold up. I might have to counter this. Sometimes you just forget how to order things because you're net decking. It doesn't matter. It still works. Shh, it's fine. You didn't see me goof up nothing. Just dealing 20 damage at once. Oh, regular like. Definitely not unnecessarily countering my own spells. Next up, we've got a Jeskai control deck. This deck is using some of the powerful exiling board wipes, Sunfall and Farewell, in order to stop our opponent from doing things while we, ourselves, do the absolutely tragic, beautiful thing of playing Sanctuary Warden and copying it with the Fable of the Mirror Breaker's final Kiki-Jiki form. This deck also has some counter spells, one of which actually taps artifacts. Interesting. Very interesting. And we have Fires of Victory, which is a piece of removal that I didn't expect to see in any deck. But hey, listen, they're Pro Tour players. I'm not. So let's rely on their choices instead of my own silly deck building. And we're going to take this in. We're going to burn some creatures, counter some creatures, exile some creatures, and exile some more with the Wandering Emperor. Let's go. I've got removal, I've got card draw, I've got a Bank Buster, and Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I like all of this. The only thing I don't like is that all of my lands are coming in tapped. But since we go first, it's not the worst thing in the world. Start with this Sundown Pass, so I can maybe get some Spite, depending on the lands we draw. Nope! Playing 3 colors means that you do have to get some strange and unusual lands in your deck. Tenacious Underdog. Ooh, is this going to be an Orzhov Beatdown deck? Not gonna lie, kind of here for that. I'm gonna play this Fable of the Mirror Breaker. If I need to, I can just go ahead and block that Tenacious Underdog. Though this can come back from the graveyard, draw them cards, and hit me in the face. A terrifying prospect indeed. Alright, 3 mana now. Definitely Orzhov. I will... Amy mana, though. I don't need no stinking mana. I need a life total. I think they are a more aggressive deck than me. Could be exiling or destroying this. Yep, Legions to Ashes. Exiling my Fable of the Mirror Breaker. It's sorcery speed, but it's incredibly good. They could have 4 mana and just go for this Tenacious Underdog here. So I'm going to hold up the Wandering Emperor and Memory Deluge. If they have something swinging in, we exile it. If they don't, we could be losing it. Because of this not actually drawing cards, it's fine for me to just do this now or do it after. I just need to find something that will handle her. I have enough lands in hand, so I'm going to grab the board wipe and then make this appear. Draw. Ouch. And I don't have good removal for Sheoldred since this only does 3. And I don't want to use Sunfall on her when I have a Wandering Emperor in hand. So we're going to wait here. We're going to give them the opportunity to swing in. And they probably know I have a Wandering Emperor. This is one of those... It's the same exact sense as Settle the Wreckage. It's like, oh, wait a minute. I know what you have. I know exactly what you have because I've played against it 100 times. All right, they're swinging in. And here comes the Wandering Emperor. Goodbye, Sheoldred. We could have also exiled this Tenacious Underdog to stop it from coming back from the graveyard. But I'm not as scared of that. I have other pieces of removal that help deal with that. Let's go ahead and get that Fable out. We're going to get ourselves a 2/2 Goblin. We're going to make that Goblin bigger, faster, stronger. And we're going to hold up or make disappear. Now, I could have also played Bankbuster with the expectation that they would play Underdog again. Since Bankbuster would be able to be cleanly blocking the Underdog, and we can crew with this Goblin Shaman token. And my Settle the Wreckage senses are still finely honed from standard of, like, 3.5 years ago. Okay, here comes the Tenacious Underdog. Not gonna counter it. Wait until they swing in. You want to go for the Wandering Emperor? Do I want to block? Do I want to burn it? I am gonna burn it. I'm going to light this on fire, and I'm gonna throw this Memory Deluge to the bottom. They will still draw a card. Oh, okay. Got the old scry bug going on here, huh? I'm gonna discard up to 2 cards. I'm gonna drop the Deluge, and that's it, actually. I like all the rest of these cards. I'm going to swing in with my little Goblini. Gonna get myself a Slamurai. Play the Bankbuster. And chill, vibe, hang. Fires of Victory deals damage equal to the number of cards in my hand. And it can also draw me a card if I kick it. And I do have enough mana for the kick. Looks like they're cutting down my Samurai. Okay. It happens. They don't have double black. So I don't have to worry. Oh, wait. Are you going to pay 2 life for it? Do it. Do it. Do it. They did it. Do I even care that much? Yeah. Yeah, I'll do it. Paying 4 life for that Underdog. Good for me. This is about to flip over. Flip, flip, Flipadelphia. I'm going to make it so I can crew this Bankbuster with this.
Remember your training.
And I'm going to bring them down so low that these pain lands would kill them. I've got enough mana to use the Deluge from the graveyard. The big flashback, look at 7, put 2 in hand. Would you like to pay the 1? Can't cast a Sheoldred on that mana. That's gonna be game. Up against Guchon. I do have the Wandering Emperor, but not double white. I've got some Pain Lands, Reckoner, Bankbuster, and Fable here. Going first, I think that this is a fine hand to keep. Let's go ahead and start the game. Start with a Shivan Reef, so we have some colors ready to rumble. Deserted Beach will come in tapped, so I'm going to actually get down Iganjo and Reckoner Bankbuster. Is this mono red? Well, they're burning my face, so I feel like this is mono red, but this is usually not the one drop that they want to start with. Play with fire. It could also be a big red deck. I've run into some of those. Oh, Blood Phoenix Feather. Nice. That works very well with these burn cards. We're going to get down some more of this lovely, lovely mana. Pay 1 to get the red mana. And here is my Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. Well, Fable in the Mirror Breaker. It's going to flip over eventually. Hopefully, it won't take too long. Since the Bloodfeather Phoenix can come back from the graveyard, I'm going to say it is a priority for me to exile it with the Wandering Emperor. All right, so we saw what they drew. Feldon and Lightning Strike. And Kamano faces Kakazan, which actually would have dealt damage to one of my Planeswalkers if I had one. I'm going to discard... I feel like this Farewell is actually going to be too slow here. So I'm going to drop that. I'm going to keep everything else, though. And I'm going to do what I'm going to call... baiting them into the Wandering Emperor. Everybody's favorite move. Here comes Feldon. He gets an additional +1/+1 counter. We could actually counter this. Make them pay 2 and then 2 again by sacrificing the Goblin. I don't think that that would be terrible. Especially since we do know that they have the Lightning Strike. I'm just going to get out the Wandering Emperor and turn this into a bit of a 2-for-1. I don't have many things that I would want to block the Bloodfeather Phoenix with, so I'm going to exile that. Swing!
This is what you get for hurting my people.
Would you like to Lightning Strike my Wandering Emperor? Perhaps a Goblin? There we go. Classic 2-for-1. Gain a little life, too. Love that for us. This flips over. And this is also going to flip over next turn, giving them a 2/2 with haste. But I've got something mighty as well. I've got the Sanctuary Warden. If I wanted to be really, really cheeky here, I could, like, animate this in response and remove one of the counters from it. I'm just going to take a shield counter off it because we're up against mono red. We can still crew the Bankbuster using the Citizen and Kiki-Jiki here. But I feel like they won't swing in. Dealing 5 damage on top of 1 extra hit for the Sanctuary Warden is pretty tough. Ooh, it's the Trample that gets Trample. Sorry, Prowess. But it should also have Trample. Counter Spell Spear is one of those really solid uncommons. I'm really happy to see this card. I'm glad it exists. All right. Reflection of Kiki-Jiki is gone, and that's very fair because that card is insane with Sanctuary Warden. Making copies of this every turn is nuts. It's also a major problem for pretty much everyone, so I'm going to draw. By the way, these two can block, this one cannot. I'm gonna get down Fable. I'm actually going to crew. This is what I mentioned doing before. I'm going to swing in, remove a counter from the Reckoner Bankbuster. Deal 5 to their face. Now we're holding open our Fires of Victory. Not kicked, just the regular old deal, in this case, 3 damage. So if they try to, say, transform Kenra's Spell Spear, we can respond to that and light it on fire. On fire it has been lit. Would you like to swing in? No, they've only got 1 blocker. And we've got a whole lot of damage coming in. That's going to be GG. I do not know who registered Orzhov Phyrexian aggro, but somebody did. I don't know what their deck list is, so I guessed. This is black-white Phyrexian Tribal. We've got some Phyrexian Tribal payoff cards like Grafted Butcher and Phyrexian Center, which has, by the way, messed up a lot of opponents. I've got a combination of Toxic and Not So Toxic, a little bit of Incubate, and I will say the key cards here, Elishnorn, who destroys a lot of non-Phyrexians and gives you an incredibly powerful swing, especially with the Exarch or Inquisitors to support them, and Sheoldred, who is Sheoldred. This card is still really good. This deck gives you a really fun excuse to run things like the Seed Core and Mirex. Already good cards get even better in a deck like this, so we're going to take this and we're going to make some Orzhov aggro happen. I got a turn 1, a couple different turn 2s. I love a hand like this. Progenitor Exarch, it's best if you can get it paid with an X cost, and it's really nice because it does scale as the game goes on, but it's also just fine as a 1-2 that can flip other incubate tokens. We don't have that much incubate in this deck just because we didn't need it. In a duress, there's only one target for it. It's going to be Skrelv's Hive, and it gets hit. And that means that my turn 2, I was actually hoping to play the Hive, is going to be Grafted Butcher. This is going to give me a +1/+1, and until end of turn menace. Not that it makes a difference. They know that I have these sensors, so if they're the kind of deck that wants to play a lot of cards in a turn, they're gonna be out of luck. Well, they'll be out of luck once I can get to it. I'm gonna play another Grafted Butcher over Skrelv, paying the life, and getting in another big swing here. They've got 3 mana now. Ooh, Shattered Sanctum! Even if you had a flashy creature, it would come in tapped because the Phyrexian Censor is a rude dude like that. And Depopulate. There's only a few board wipes that could be cast at that cost, and they happen to have it. We could go for Phyrexian Censor since it would make their defenses come in tapped, or we could go for the double spell, Skrelv and Jawbone Duelist. I am actually going to go for the Censor. It stops them from casting 2 spells in a turn in case they wanted to, like, try and draw. And also, they only have 2 life left. And they're gonna pay those 2 life to firmly grasp it. GG Reno Riot. Mark? That's our opponent's name. It's very marked. I have a nice hand here. The only problem is that one of my lands comes in tap, so it gives me the choice here of what do I want to play on turn 2. We've got the Hive, the Inquisitor, and go for the Throat if there's something for me to kill. The most immediate damage is Norn's Inquisitor. The one that builds up the most value, Skrelv's Hive. I'm gonna go for the Inquisitor, though. Especially because my opponent used a Cabretti Courtyard and got a Forest. Are you a Naya deck? In esta economia? I'm gonna play Phyrexian Censor. If you want to start casting spells, creatures are gonna come in tapped. Especially little flashy creatures. Herd Migration. This could be the Domain deck. Ooh! Norn's Inquisitor, by the way, makes these Incubate tokens a little bit stronger when they flip into play. And I think I will. I'm going to flip this and attack with it. Getting 7 damage. And I'm going to play the Hive. Hive is going to be dealing a damage to me each turn and spitting out a little tiny mite. Now, those mites aren't mighty, but when we start buffing them up with our other Phyrexian tribal cards or sacrificing them to some of our other effects, they can really add up in value. Skrelv's Hive with Elish Norn specifically is super strong. Alright, so it looks like Leyline Binding, they're taking out my Phyrexian Censor, which tells me they don't want to be restricted to casting 1 spell per turn. So great news, I have another one. And I could play it, or I could just play Shelly Belly. There is a domain-based board wipe, which would kill all of these. So I feel like I'm just going to go for the Sheoldred, take what I can, and we can do Censor, maybe go for the Throat next turn. Ambitious Farmhand, it gets them a basic Plains. We get a little guy. Here's a Seed Core. They don't have any poison on them yet. Phyrexian Censor. I'm actually just going to kill this. Getting my damage. I'm not going to hold on to this. They don't need to know I've got a Seed Core. This also does not get a buff until next turn. All right, so it looks like we're going to win. Good game, Mark. From Mark to Mark Rosewater. Well, Morrow. What do we got? We've got Exarch on 1, Inquisitor on 2, Norn, and a Butcher also available to us. This seems like a very solid start. And I'm going to start with the Exarch. We can do this only for X equals 0, and that's totally fine. If we wanted to use this for a turn 3 play, that would also be great. If I drew another one, I would not be disappointed, especially not with Norn's Inquisitor here. Nice. They have a Crawling Chorus. And I have a Grafted Butcher. I'm just going to go for the buff here. I'm going to start building out wide. Since I drew this other Exarch, I'm actually very, very into the idea of getting some extra little dudes on the ground for my dear friend Elesh Norn. So I can either take this hit, take 2 damage and a poison, or I can trade. And I'm just going to go ahead and take that hit, since I know I'll have better blockers next turn. Better blockers like Norn's Inquisitor. And I'm just going to sit here. And it's going to be like, ooh, what are you doing? Transforming incubators for free? Maybe. What's it to ya? What's it to ya? Two poison, but a dead Slaughter Singer. And our opponent concedes, because we just stabilized. They don't even know about the Elesh Norn. It's about to get nasty in here. Good game. Monaka. Hello, Monaka. I have a pretty nice hand here, but the only downside is that I only have black mana once off of Mirex. It can only tap for black on the turn it comes into play, but I think that that will be enough. I can either prioritize that for Ellis Ilkor or for the Bloated Processor. Monastery Swift Spear. All right. I think I'm probably going to prioritize it for the Ilkor, since, well, playing Jawbone Duelist on 2, it's not going to fare well against the Swift Spear. It dies really easily, and even though it can build up Toxic really quickly, and it works really well with a lot of the various Phyrexian buffs, it's just not worth the effort. Also, if this happened to survive this turn, we would be gaining life. And life gain is good. All right, now it's time for us to throw down Jawbone Duelist. We're really hoping we get another land for Elesh Norn. I've got the double white. I just need one more mana source. Elesh Norn is a 3/5, and 3/5s are good at blocking. Okay, and the festivities. There goes the Duelist. Wow. That was rough. Ouch. Phyrexian Censor. You want to play hasty things? They're coming in tapped. You can only pass one non-Phyrexian spell per turn, so good luck trying to combo out at me, or you'll just lightning strike my creature, and that will be it. I know how this game goes. Invasion of Ragatha! It deals 4 to my face, 1 to my Censor, and discourages me from blocking. Invasion of Ragatha, by the way, it really puts Lightning Axe to shame, doesn't it? Phyrexian Censor, do I want to trade here? I think that it's actually still worth it to trade, just because we're not guaranteed to get another mana. I say, getting another mana. Here comes Elesh Norn, who is good at blocking. Elesh Norn, probably won't be trying to flip her in this game, because that's much more of an aggressive move. But she is a 3/5. She has Vigilance. She can block, she can protect, she can attack. This is Elesh Norn, who's not the mama. People in chat, she's not the mama. Mother Machine was the last one. She can be mommy. She's not the mama. Speaking of the mama, I started watching the old sitcom Dinosaurs. It's kind of cute. Not gonna lie. It's actually kind of cute, and I like parts of it. Maybe it's just because I really like puppets, though. I do really like puppets. Elesh Norn swinging in. She does have Menace until end of turn. Looking good. Here comes Jawbone Duelist. Now, Bloated Processor would be great to play, but I do not want to use this Pain Land. I'm at 8 life, and they're a mono-red deck. Flame Breather deals indirect damage. Spell Spear can get prowess, and has trample. And Feldon just gets some card advantage. Trades very nicely. Okay, I will deal exactly 2 damage to your Feldon. This gives them Invasion of Regatha or Monastery Swift Spear. Alright, Invasion of Regatha. You want to bring me down to 4? Because that's a scary place for me to be. By the way, they can cast this next turn as well, but I do think it makes sense to cast it here. Oh, do you pay the 1? I forgot. She has more text. She deals damage if I get hit. They won't be able to pay the 1 on this one, though. Or on this one. Oh my gosh, so they declined to deal damage to one of my creatures, knowing what it would do. That's very smart. Again, I can only do one of these. I could go for the bigger buff to try and play very aggressively, and I think that that's fine. Actually, one second. I have the Mirex. Cost 3. Nope, we're just gonna get down Grafted Butcher. And I'm going to swing in with Elish Norn and the Jawbone Duelist. I just want to show you guys what this deck does. So I'm actually going to sacrifice all of these guys. And make a couple 5/5s. We can sacrifice one of those to bring back a Grafted Butcher for a big buff. I feel like if we're dead anyway. The passive taxing effect on this Elish Norn could be what would end our opponent, but we're both at 3 life. If they're gonna kill me, they're gonna kill me. This gives me a very, very cute board, though. I am such a fan of just loads of Phyrexians. But here it is. It's Lightning Strike. That's how Mono Red rolls. GG. Joseph Karani is bringing Rakdos Reanimator to the PT. Now, you've seen a couple different versions of this deck, and you've probably also seen the Breach the Multiverse version, which is a bit more milly and usually runs a bunch of blue. This version has these as the key Reanimator targets. Phyrexian Fleshgorger, Atali, and Atraxa. Now, notably, there's only 1 copy each of Atali and Atraxa, which is very low. But the deck is very good at getting those into the graveyard by using things like the Blood of Bloodtithe Harvester, Fable of the Mirror Breaker, and we can also get things into our opponent's graveyard with Cruelty of Gix. One of the pieces of tech I really like in this deck is a Phyrexian Fleshgorger. It's very good against aggro, it's life gain early, and because your opponent is very much inclined to kill it, you can bring it back bigger. It's a 7/5 if you're reanimating it versus a 3/3, and it has a very hefty ward cost for those targeting removal spells, which are very prevalent in Standard. Yes, you know what I'm looking at. These go for the throats, these are braids, these cut downs. So let's see if we can bring back maybe some big, scary 7-power creatures. 2 chi. I've got 2 Bloodtithe Harvesters. I also have a Haunted Ridge, which can come in tapped on my first turn, so let's start with that. You may have noticed, by the way, the hot tech of 1 Voldaren Thrillseeker in this deck. I think that this is a spicy little addition, and it lets you fling one of your creatures at your opponent's face, which is super good with all those 7-power creatures. Voldaren Thrillseeker is actually seeing quite a bit of play across the different decks that are being played this weekend, so I expect that this will not be the only one you see. I'm gonna cut down this Bloodtithe Harvester, throw down the Sulphur Springs, and play another one of my own. Just trying to build up this battlefield and play aggressively because I do not have my Reanimating Saga in hand. If I had Cruelty of Gix, then, well, we would do a little more, but we don't. Fable and Mirror Breaker, they're gonna make themselves a 2/2, a little Goblini, and we can go ahead and abrade that, or we could just Thrillseeker, yeet ourselves in. Something I actually want to say that's huge in this deck is copying Voldaren Thrillseeker with Fable's backside, with Reflection of Kiki Jiki. This thing is so good. It's actually like, wait a minute, this kicks ass. Yes, it does. It kicks so much more ass than you would think. Alright, Elder Dragon War. They're going to be dealing 2 damage to each of my creatures. That's rough. We had a potential lethal line next turn, and that denies us that. I could have done Thrill Seeker, hit them in the face, removed their blocker during this turn, and that's okay. We can't always have it. I'm actually going to start by using a Blood, dropping this Black Cleave Cliffs, seeing what we get. Fabled Mirror Breaker, okay. Fellow Kiki Jikis in action. I've got a way to kill the reflection. Ah, Fable number 2. This is a situation where having our own Elder Dragon War would be very, very helpful. I'm going to discard the Go for the Throat. And maybe this... It's one of those things where, do I want to risk this? Do I want to try and dig to my reanimation? I'm going to actually drop the Thrill Seeker. Keep the Go for the Throat just to make sure I can stop this. I'm going to use Blood. Drop the Abrade. They have the Atraxa in their graveyard, and we're able to reanimate from their graveyard, which is part of why I'm trying to rush to this. They could hit us next turn, and that would be rough. That would be devastating. They dropped another Atraxa, so they have 2 Atraxas and an Atali in the graveyard. If they hit their reanimation piece here, oof. If they don't, we have an opportunity to get ourselves an Atraxa of our very own, or an Atali. Kroxa and Kunaros! Oh! That's their Reanimator piece! Sick. So they've been filling up their graveyards. They're going to exile 5 cards and get out an Atraxa. I'm going to go ahead and say we lost, but I want to keep this in the video because this is just a really, really cool thing that's happening here. Nice. They're going to get some cards. Doesn't really matter what they get because they'll have lethal next turn, and we don't have any board wipes in this deck. Look at all those tasty cards. Cruelty of Gix to grab that Atali next turn. And what do we have? Nothing. A big fat nothing. That's game. I've got reanimation and removal in this hand. So we're gonna get caught in limbo against the limbo. By the way, we do have the ability to technically cast Atraxa in this deck using Plaza of Heroes and Treasures. It is silly if it happens, but it's definitely a strategy we can take. Zuza's Many Journeys. Oh, they're rampant. This lets them play an extra land during this turn. Then it will gain them life, and it will untap things during the next turns. So far, we've done a fat nothing. Next turn, we can play Atsushi. That's pretty good. Go for the Throat. We can take this out. It can't actually attack me right now, so it's not like a major threat. But since they are clearly trying to ramp, I think to Atali, we could just kill it. Since we want to play Atsushi next turn. Sushi. It's been a while since I had some sushi. I want that fish. Atsushi, the Blazing Sky, out on the battlefield. It's a 4/4 flying trample, and when it dies, we either get treasures, good for casting Atraxas, or we get to look at the top cards of our deck. Nice! Invasion of Zendikar. So they were actually ready to get to 6 lands right there anyway. We've got a Cruelty of Gix. I'm going to start by actually casting Chapter 1. Since we don't have anything in our graveyard we really want to bring back, we're going to make them discard. Ooh, baby! Oh, mama! We're left with a horrible quandary. Titan of Industry or Atali. I would rather stop this Atali, especially since they can't play it right away, but Titan of Industry can destroy the Cruelty of Gix, making it the must-hit target right here. They don't have that double red yet. This is going to grab it for them. Likeness of the Seeker, by the way, does untap lands. Oh, they're not going for that anyway. All right, Lana War Loam Speaker. And by the way, reanimating a Titan of Industry, totally awesome. Still just great. Let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana this turn. I kind of like just grabbing the... Oh, we already have another Cruelty of Gex. Grabbing one of my big things to cast. Maybe some more removal here. Fable, since that lets me copy Titan of Industry. It's just good. Cruelty of Gex, Chapter 1 again. Make them drop the Atali. We're hosing their value, setting ourselves up to reanimate both of those incredibly good cards. That's gonna be game. GG Limbo. Phantom Canine! Awoo! I'm gonna keep this hand. We've got Blood Tithe Harvester, a Braid, Fable the Mirror Breaker, and the big dino himself, Atali. I love Atali. I feel like a lot of people have just noticed, Amy, why are you playing this in every single format? Because it's good and I love it. He's my best friend and a dinosaur. So we have a turn 5 Atali. We have enough mana. We've got things lined up. We've got a way to put it in our graveyard. Everything is turning up Millhouse. Fable of the Mirror Breaker, going to get me a goblin. That goblin will get me some treasure, unless... are they going to deny me it with a Make Disappear? Counterspells. Counterspells. How dare. That's fine. Jace is going to mill me. Jace is the place. And unfortunately, a Braid cannot hit Jace's. So this tells me, by the way, that our opponent is playing Breach the Multiverse. It is a combination deck that kills through 2 different means at the same time. This deck kills us both by milling and also by reanimating. And since we're playing big reanimation targets like Atali and Atraxa, though only a few of them, that puts us in a kind of awkward spot. I'm gonna discard some cards. I wonder what I'll discard. A Braid, because it has no targets. And actually, I'm like eyeing what they have here, and I think this would be countered. So I'm going to drop the Sulphurous Ring, not the Atali. I'm going to try to cast that from my hand. We're going to swing in with the Goblin Shaman. This is just me getting more mana. More potential to cast this next turn, and then if it fails, we can bring it back. Cruelty of Gix. Chapter 1. What the heck you got? Show me your secrets. Got any creatures, planeswalkers? It's all removal! Okay, so they have Infernal Grasp, and Soul Transfer. The good news is no counterspells. Any counterspells they have, they would have to draw here. Fable the Mirror Breaker flips over. It's a very good target to kill, and we get to tutor for a card. We could go for Atraxa, we could go for another Cruelty of Gix, we could go for Shelly Belly. I like Shelly here, though I'm going to be just casting Atali this turn. Reason. It's a good card, I like it. I'm gonna start by swinging in with the Goblin, get my treasure. Big dinosaur. I will always prioritize dinosaurs. I don't care if he dies to Infernal Grasp, he comes back. Next turn. I'm actually going to set an upkeep stop, by the way, so if there's nothing I want to bring back in my graveyard, I can put something in my graveyard. Alright, so they're starting by grasping, firmly. And infernally. Here comes Atali. We're going to get to cast for free. And the spells we got are Siphon, Insight, and Cut Down. Cut Down, I don't want to cut down my own goblin. And this will put the Siphon Insight in their graveyard. But it will let me steal. And, like, as you may have noticed by my love of Atali, I want to steal. And we just stole Breach the Multiverse! This is huge! Yeah, this mills each player 10 cards and lets me reanimate from each graveyard. So they're waiting so they could exile Atali here. Because they don't want me to reanimate him. Jace doing Jace things. Phyrexian Flesh Gorger. That leaves him with 1 mana. I don't think they're running Spell Pierce. Alright, so first we draw. See what we get. Oh, perfect! I'm gonna use this blood to put Atraxa in the graveyard. And then bring Atraxa back. Atraxa's a flying 7 mana 7/7 with Vigilance, Death Touch, and Lifelink. Oh, and what cards would I like? I would like Mirax, and I would like Cruelty of Gix. Go for the throat. Blood Tithe Harvester, or maybe another Atsushi. I'll take the Harvester. Oh, so nice. 34 to 44 cards remaining in library. That is very notable. Let's mess that up a little bit more. Breach the Multiverse. What you got? What you got? Oh, a Hiditsugu and Kairi. Why? I would love one. Thank you. And I'll take this Voldaren Frill Speaker as well. Back up to, yeah. Make Hiditsugu and Kairi. It's like a little scary here. We can put something on top of our deck. I will put a Braid and Swamp. We have too many cards here. And no, I don't feel like I need the swing in. I will discard a card. I will discard Sulphur Springs. I feel like we're doing the thing. I did consider swing in Treasure, playing Hiditsugu, but it doesn't feel necessary. I want to force them to kill me. I can bring it back next turn. Okay. Deal 2 to their face. Looks like we should have done it. They did get that board wipe. I'm going to destroy this artifact. Yes, we will pay 3 life. Oof, ow, owie. And Jace is doing Jace things. Are we primed to be milled? Yeah. But like, it's fun. Okay, there we go. 3 times 4, we have 10 cards remaining in our library. That makes our card advantage cards a lot worse on this Cruelty of Gix. But, like, I really, really love to steal my opponent's creatures. Okay? Like, I really, really love it. I'm actually gonna get it so this Flesh Gorger is on top. Because, even though I can't cast it, if they kill Hiditsugu and Kairi, that's 7 damage to their face. Oh, they're gonna mill me! Breach the Multiverse. It mills! Who you grabbing? Traxa? Probably a Traxa. You know I'm always driven to crime. It's what I crave. I will reveal the top card of my library, which is nothing! And we lose. And the last deck, which I'm going to go ahead and say is very jank, is very similar to another deck that I posted because it's Invasions with All Will Be One. Yeah, did you know battles come into play with counters on them? Yeah, and All Will Be One deals damage based on counters. Yeah, so that's what this deck does. You play All Will Be One, and you deal damage with counters. So we also have a little bit of Dragon Synergy, Shivan Devastator, Invasion of Tarkir. We stay alive by wiping the board with Invasion of Karsus. Migloz flips our battles, and we also have Glistening Dawn, which makes a lot of +1/+1 counters on Incubate tokens. It's a weird way to win, but if it works, right? Let's take it into the queue! Unfortunately, I ran out of time before I could get a good game in with this All Will Be One deck, but hopefully we'll get to see it during the Pro Tour coverage this weekend. Thank you to all the players who posted their deck lists online, and thank you for watching this video. As always, if you'd like to watch me record these live, or if you'd like to co-watch the Pro Tour with me, come over to twitch.tv/Amazonian. We're gonna be hanging out all weekend long, and I stream Magic almost every single day, so, you know, just lots of excuses for you to come hang out with me. Again, thank you for watching this video, and I hope the Pro Tour is a blast.